To say it's been a rough few days as a Nintendo fan would be an understatement. I mean, a lot of it isn't even Nintendo's fault, funnily enough. And I mean, a lot of it just happens to be political issues, which I don't even really want to get into for a multitude of different reasons. But needless to say, it's been a rough few days on the internet, which is doubly insane to me because I cannot stress this enough, but Nintendo had probably one of the best directs ever. And it feels like everything that could have went wrong after the fact went wrong. And it's so freaking insane. Half of it, it's not even Nintendo's fault. But in today's case, it is Nintendo's fault. What do I mean by this specifically, though, you might be asking? Well, Doug Bowser had a couple of things to say in regards to the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing. Which, hey, we've been waiting for that for a while. But it's not the best news. It's not the thing that everybody wants to hear. But unfortunately, I think it's the reality, and I think it's the very near future that we're going to have to deal with for the future of Nintendo. So on April 7th, 2025, we got a post from the Washington Post, specifically from Wario64 on Twitter, who is quoting said article. Doug Bowser on the Switch 2 game prices, specifically on Mario Kart World, as that's what the interview was about. He says, what you see right there is variable pricing. We'll look at each game, really look at the development that's going on into the game, the breadth, the depth of gameplay, if you will, the durability over time, and the replayability of gameplay experiences. Those are all factors, and there's many more that go into consideration of what is the right price point for the game. So I think you can anticipate that there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark. Okay, alright, we have quite a bit to unpack here. But let's not go guns blazing on this tweet, you know? Maybe Doug Bowser is onto something with this, you know? Let's theorize here a little bit. So, from his perspective, and I guess a lot of game development perspectives as well, there are just some games out there that take a lot more man hours, a lot more development, a lot more resources than others. Let's do a bit of a comparison here. Let's do Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, obviously, one of them is a 100-hour game that has voice acting, many quests to do, many hours and hours of gameplay to do, and many other things. Whereas if we look at the other end of the spectrum, the other game is 5 to 10 hours that focuses mainly on the gameplay. And so there's not much like story or voice lines or any of that to do. And it's mostly just you platforming. Now, I'm not saying the platformer is a bad game here, but obviously if we're pitting these two side by side together, one of these games took a lot more effort than the other. And basically what I think Doug Bowser's trying to say is that games like Xenoblade, I guess, games that take a lot of effort and take a lot of energy and manpower to create these video games are probably going to cost a bit more going forward. And you know, to some degree, I get it. There's just some games that are not worth $60. And there's just some games that need to be more than $60. You know, in a sense, I do understand. You know, it's an art form, right? Video games are an art form. A game is also very subjective as well. You know, I did make the comparison earlier, but you know, depending on who you ask, Super Mario Odyssey, somebody may have gotten 200 hours out of that game, you know? And then somebody might have played Xenoblade and they only played like, what, 50 hours of it? Yeah, it really depends on the gamer and how you view it, which also makes the situation even more confusing. But basically what Doug Bowser wants to do, and I guess Nintendo, because I'm pretty sure he's speaking on behalf of Nintendo here, is that he wants to price games accordingly based on what the game has to offer, how much replayability you're going to get out of it, you know? In the case of Mario Kart World, obviously the Mario Kart World Direct isn't out yet, but I would assume because Mario Kart is one of those games that just never ends. You can play with friends forever. The open world that they're adding as well as the huge roster of characters, I would imagine is part of the reason as to why the price is the way it is. You know, we can go back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That game, you can get hundreds of hours of playtime and still not be done with it because it's never going to end. You know, as long as you have friends who want to play the game, who you want to compete against, the game will never end. You know, it's just one of those games. You'll never get bored, as well as the 100+ tracks that you have to race on it. Needless to say, if it wasn't obvious, yes, some games do take longer to make than others, and some games have way more packing than other games do. And I don't think anybody was denying that. And this is where I stopped being so nice and I stopped playing on Doug Bowser's side. In fact, let's go to the tweet that I actually quote retweeted with this, because honestly, I think it fits perfectly with how I feel about this. I quote retweeted this funny tweet saying, "Hey, if we're doing this, I expect games like Mario Strikers Battle League to be $30 because that did not deserve to be $60. You can't have this both ways." And yeah, I pretty much still stand by that statement. I say this as well because Nintendo has a notorious history of putting ports, remasters of old games onto the Nintendo Switch and charging full price for the titles for absolutely no reason when the games are seriously old. Like a recent example, Luigi's Mansion 2 for the 3DS. Hell, that game was originally $40 on the 3DS. We're not even like equating time into this, all right? So where did the extra $20 come from? I think this is very important to note because while Nintendo says they want to do variable pricing, I think based on Nintendo's behavior in regards to pricing their games, they're only going to use this variable pricing in a sense where when they drop a new game, it's going to cost full price or more. They're not going to price games that have barely any content at the price that they should be. They are most likely using variable pricing to justify if a game happens to cost $90. You know, they're not using it, you know, to justify games that like, oh, you know, they only have 5 hours of playtime. You know, it's a very short experience. No. They're using it so that way they can price a game super high without any consequence. Now, am I being a little harsh and twisting Doug Bowser's words a little bit? Yeah, maybe I am. But I think it's kind of unfortunate that I was defending Nintendo's prices for the most part due to real world situations that I thought were out of Nintendo's control. And hey, most of it is out of Nintendo's control. I mean, we can see the console price and game prices go up in the next few months, which is terrifying. But what this recent article suggests is that not only are they doubling down, but apparently it could get worse from here. And it's not even because of what's going on in the United States right now. And that part scares me. Now, again, I really do get where he's coming from in terms of some games are just worth more in general. But the problem with that is that if we don't have standardized pricing for titles that release in the modern day, then not only do I feel that this is going to set a bad precedent in regards to future Nintendo games, I feel like it's going to set a bad precedent for the gaming industry as a whole. Now, I get it. We joked a lot about GTA 6 possibly costing $100 when that thing drops. And I get it, it's one of those games. It's one of the generational games of all time. But outside of GTA 6, the rest of the gaming industry might use this variable pricing excuse that they might be able to get away with so much crap that I don't even want to imagine. I don't know, with so much controversy in regards to the Nintendo Switch 2's announcement and launch hype cycle, I would think that Doug Bowser wouldn't be saying something like this. But at the same time, like, I do appreciate that he's being honest about it. He's not like hiding the fact that this is what he's trying to do going forward. But it sucks. It sucks. It's going to set a horrible precedent for the gaming industry. And I don't know if I'm a fan. I mean, we're already experiencing some very questionable decisions from this console, like the game key cards or the bad Switch cases. Hell, just physical media in general with this generation. It's been a lot. It's been very stressful. It's been a lot. And look, okay, Doug Bowser's probably a great guy, all right? But the fact that we barely see the guy at all at Nintendo Directs, you know, at press releases, at anything, you know, he gets, you know, he becomes the new head of Nintendo of America 6 years ago, right? He shows up for that one Direct, doesn't show up for nearly half a decade. And then when it matters most, right? He shows up now only to deliver bad news. And, you know, for the most part, I'd like to think that a lot of people are a little extreme and a little harsh on Nintendo in some ways. You know, some people would like to say that, oh, some Nintendo games are just not worth $50 or more. You know, I think those people are a little crazy. But, you know, Nintendo makes it really hard sometimes to defend them. And in this case, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't mean to say that the 3DS and Wii U era was better by any means. You know, it had its problems and all that, but at least in that era, there was a sense of transparency and there was a sense of humanness there, if that makes sense. And overall, it just seemed like Nintendo had it together, even if they were failing. You know, it felt like things just made sense back then. And maybe that's just because I'm an adult and back then I was a kid. But right now, like, just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And I don't know how to feel about it. But yeah, that's about all I got for today. This is a quickie, but I wanted to get it out because this does affect me and it affects you guys too. Just in case a lot of people don't see it, I want people to see it and know that this might be something we're dealing with for not only Nintendo, but maybe the rest of the gaming industry. And you know, I don't mean to say you should be afraid, but you guys should probably be a little afraid because I'm afraid. Stay hydrated, stay cool. I got a fun video this Friday, so stay tuned. Will be a lot more fun and happier than this, but for now, I am gonna go to bed. And hopefully, things will be better the next day. Hopefully. You guys have a good one. See ya.